Alright everyone, let's go to example number 2 of calculating reacting masses. So here you have methane. Methane is used as a fuel. Here they give you the balanced chemical equation. This CH4 is methane, O2 is the oxygen gas, CO2 is your carbon dioxide gas, and lastly H2O is water. This 2 is just the number to balance the equation. Alright, so next sentence they give you the relative molecular mass MR for methane is 16. How do you get 16? Let's recap back. CH4 mass of carbon is 12, right? Then plus with 4 times of hydrogen. Hydrogen is 1, right? So you need to multiply with 4. So therefore you get 16. That's how you get it. Alright? Next, complete the following sentences. 16 gram of methane reacts with blank gram of oxygen and produces blank gram of carbon dioxide. How do you calculate this? So let's read the question. 16 grams. So is there anyone 16? Yes. Here earlier we have mentioned that relative molecular mass of methane was 16, right? Exactly the same, 16 exactly. So we just carry it to our ratio. So in order to do ratio, you need to get two things from the question. First thing is your methane. Second thing you want to find out is your oxygen. So only 2, 2. CH4 to the ratio of oxygen. Let's see what's oxygen. Here, right? 2O2. So you must copy and carry to your ratio. Okay, next. First row is always the MR, yeah? MR of CH4 is 16. Oxygen, how do you calculate the MR for oxygen? So the big 2 I'll put here, bracket with oxygen was the relative atomic mass for oxygen. 1 oxygen is 16, right? Then you need to multiply with 2. There's a small 2, you need to multiply here. So we calculate first, 16 ratio we carry down. So 32. So 16 to the ratio 2 times 32 is 64. So what does this ratio means? 16 gram of methane will react with 64 gram of oxygen. So let's read the sentence again. 16 gram of methane will react with how many gram of oxygen? 64, right? So we just put the 64 here. Got that clear? Next, how do we find the mass for carbon dioxide that was produced? Okay, so let's see what is given. Given is the 16 gram of methane. So we use this 16 gram of methane and ratio it with your carbon dioxide. So I'll just erase the ratio here from the previous working. CH4 to the ratio of your carbon dioxide, circle carbon dioxide, CO2. So first row is always the MR. MR for CH4 is 16, right? Next, your carbon dioxide. How do you calculate the MR, relative molecular mass? So let's zoom and check your periodic table. Carbon is 12, right? Plus with oxygen is how much? 16. Then times with 2 of oxygen. So 16 of methane will ratio to, if you calculate all this, it will give you 44. So what this ratio means, 16 gram of methane will produce your carbon dioxide. How much is it? 44 gram of carbon dioxide. So this answer will be 44. Alright, so got that clear? Just to remind everyone, the first sentence is always relate to the original equation. Exactly the same. What you calculate from the periodic table is exactly already here. Then most years are like this. Some years are not that easy. Alright, the next line, 1.6 gram of methane reacts with blank gram of oxygen. So we just focus this first. What are the two things we need to put ratio? Your methane and your oxygen, right? So let me erase my previous working. Methane, I use a different color. Methane is CH4. Ratio with oxygen. Oxygen here, still the same, 2O2. Copy from the equation. Next, first line is always the MR, right? So MR of methane is 16. Just now we calculated 2 of oxygen. Is this one, right? 64. So 64. So what is given from the question? 1.6, right, of methane. So we put this 1.6 underneath the methane column. So this is methane, methane column 1.6. Put the ratio. So how much of oxygen? We don't know, right? So therefore we put an unknown x. So like math, you do your cross multiply and get the answer. Okay, so I'll do the cross multiply here. X bring to other side, so it becomes 16x, right? Equal to 1.6 multiply with 64. So this 16 eventually will bring to the other side, become division. Now x is equal to 1.6 times 64 divide with 16. So eventually, after you calculate the value in your calculator, you'll get 6.4 gram of your oxygen. So therefore the answer for here is 6.4 gram. Alright, got that clear? Next part, we have 1.6 gram of methane will produce how much of your carbon dioxide. So what are the two things we need? Your methane and your carbon dioxide. So I'll erase this working, alright? So we need methane, CH4, and we need carbon dioxide, CO2. First row is your MR. So I put again 16. What was the MR for carbon dioxide here? Earlier, right? We just put here 44. Okay, next. How many methane we have initially? Okay, 1.6. So if we have 1.6 gram of methane, how much of carbon dioxide will be produced? So we put an X, an unknown. Then also you cross multiply. So do the working. 16x is equal to 1.6 times 44. Then the 16 will bring to other side, become division. 1.6 times 44 divide with 16. So therefore you will get 4.4 gram. So the answer is 4.4 gram of your carbon dioxide. Let me repeat again. 1.6 gram of methane will produce carbon dioxide. How much is it? After we do cross multiply, it is 4.4 gram. Okay, I hope this is clear. Thank you. Alright, for the last sentence, 0.4 gram of methane will produce how much of carbon dioxide? So let's see our two things that we need. We need methane, we need carbon dioxide. So we can just use the working from the previous question, but I'll just make the MR stay. We always need the MR. So I'll just erase the bottom. So how much of methane was given? 0.4 of methane. So we put underneath methane. Then how much of carbon dioxide produced? We don't know. We put an X. So next we cross multiply. 16x is equal to 0.4 times 44. Then 16 bring to other side as usual. So you need to calculate. Then you should get 1.1 gram. So what does this mean? 0.4 gram of methane will produce 1.1 gram of carbon dioxide. Okay, so I hope everyone understood the concept of this topic. You have to obey the step to success and make sure you know how to calculate the MR as usual. Then you can do your cross multiply very well. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for watching this video.